YouTube friends, it's Rainy and welcome back. So this is a little bit different. This is something I've been meaning to do since May, and here we are almost July. Because I want to do this just right. I don't want to mess it up because it's something special. This is not just a video to me. And I'm sorry, somehow I'm getting glare on my glasses and it drives me bananas. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know. So anyway, you're just going to have to, there we go. Nope. I don't know. I'm sorry about this glare right here. So maybe if I keep my head turned just so, it won't distract me because I'm watching myself. Anyway, I forget. I'm blathering. Let me continue. So today I would like to introduce a project that is very special to me. I've kind of hinted about it and talked about it, and now I just need to get it done. I just need to do it because it's putting my sewing behind. I got to get this done. So, I am making a quilt for my son Elijah and his fiancée Bailey for their wedding. I want to call it a wedding quilt, but it's not really a wedding quilt. It's more than just a wedding quilt, but that's kind of the name it's been assigned for the moment. It's really a story quilt. Every fabric in this quilt has been chosen, well, not every fabric, but a lot of the fabrics have been chosen for a specific reason, for whatever purpose. I mean, each little piece has a reason behind it. Some represent their interests, some represent memories, and together they tell a story of two lovely, wonderful people getting ready to start a new life together. And so it's going to tell their story one stitch at a time. It's going to tell their story through fabric, and I'm hoping, as I am making this YouTube series, I'm also making a quilt companion, which is a fancy name for a binder, a keepsake. It's not really a binder, it's a scrapbook maybe. I'm keeping a scrapbook to go along with the YouTube, so they'll have the YouTube video series. They will have the quilt companion, and then they will have the actual quilt. So I think that's a pretty doggone good wedding gift, if you ask me. So let me tell you a little bit about these two lovely people. They are getting married on May the 4th. And if you are any kind of a Star Wars fan, you immediately know that date is important. May the 4th be with you. And so they share a love of Star Wars. They're both kind of Star Wars geeks and Disney fanatics. So yeah. Then Elijah is a fan of like Mario and video games. I think he really, at one time he really loved Mario Kart. And I think Bailey's kind of into Mario Kart. I know my son better than I know his fiancée. So I just wanted to, when I built this quilt, when I stitched it together lovingly, stitch by stitch, I wanted to capture the things that reminded me of them. And so before we get too far off, what's a story quilt? Well, a story quilt is, it's a quilt that preserves memories. Sometimes people will make, the photograph fabric type stuff, and they'll make quilts that way. Sometimes people will embroider things. um, they tell a story through fabric. And so that's kind of what I want to do with the fabric choices. One of my favorite parts of this story is that, so the way this all happened was I knew what Elijah was doing. He told me, yep, I'm finally going to do it. Finally going to propose. I want you there. I want Derek there. I want, well, he didn't call him Derek. He called him Dad. I want you and Dad there. I want Bailey's parents there. And we want someplace that's like halfway in the middle. Okay, so her parents live in Florida. We live in Texas. So the obvious choice was Louisiana. And of course, I had never been to New Orleans. We've lived in Texas forever. And so, well, not forever, but since 2023. And so we decided that, okay, this is my chance to go visit New Orleans and make this a memorable occasion for them. So, I kind of did some scouting and I asked around some of the nurses, that I was working with. I was like, hey, my son wants to propose. Where would be a good spot? And immediately Jackson Square. They were like, Jackson Square. There's this huge church. There's a beautiful park. It's great. French Quarter, very romantic. So I plugged the idea into his head and he took it from there. So I'd like to say I'm responsible. I'm responsible for that. Anyway, so while we were there, let me get my fabrics out. Let me get my fabric ducks in a row. So, oh, please tell me. Okay, I still have everything on my desk. You'd think I would be more prepared for wanting to shoot this video for quite some time. So, I knew what was going to go on, and I knew in my head before I went kind of what I wanted. I knew I was going to make them a quilt. And I in my head, I had started with a double wedding ring quilt because, duh, wedding rings, of course. So I knew that I wanted fabric, from the city where he proposed to her. So I could look in the quilt and say, oh, well, this one was from New Orleans, and this one, and So I found, it started with these two fabrics. Because I asked them their favorite colors before we even went, blue and green. Okay, so I found a blue fat quarter and a green fat quarter. And these were going to be put throughout the quilt, just kind of as a little peekaboo memory reminder kind of thing. But then Derek found this. And so he's like, hey, I don't know how much you need for the background kind of fabric, because, he knows that you have to have like a fabric that ties everything together. And of course, it's very pretty. So I bought all they had. It was like 5 yards. This is just a small square of a piece that I had cut. So, there's that. And those were going to be the main fabrics for the quilt. But then also I found Star Wars. I found I got a whole, I think 2 or 3 yards of this Star Wars fabric. And it's blue. So it fits. So that's kind of where the New Orleans, the Louisiana, New Orleans part of the story fits. Of course, all of this is going to be in the companion. So then he proposed on May the 6th. We couldn't quite get it all together to be all together on May the 4th. But that whole entire week, her parents, Derek and I, Elijah, the kids, it was great. We watched Star Wars every night in the little hotel room. And the hotel, it wasn't really a hotel. It was kind of like little, I mean, it was a hotel, but it wasn't, because it was like an apartment. It had 3 bedrooms, so we could all have our own rooms. And anyway, we watched Star Wars all week. That we were together. Well, it wasn't all week. It was like we were together three days. And every night when we'd come back in from sightseeing or whatever, we'd watch another episode of Star Wars, and we just kept Star Wars kind of on a loop through our time together. Very cool. Bailey's dad is just a little bit older than me, and so he shared some Star Wars memories with us, and I shared my memory about going to see Return of the Jedi in theaters with my brother. I think I was like 7 or 8, and my brother was like 10 years older than me. So anyway, where I'm at up to this point. So I kind of played around trying to find how this works best for me, but I have 3 blocks done. Trying to decide, thinking, so this is block 1 and block 2. Let's see. This one is block 1 with Mario. And you can see the different little stuff, this is like half of a 4-block motif. And then I have a 3rd block, and I'm currently working on the 4th block. Let me get my stuff off the wall here, because I have this stuff tacked up on the wall behind me. I don't need no stinking corkboard to put stuff on. I have a wall. So this is what the pattern kind of looks like. And what I decided on was a double ruby ring in the O layout. And this is kind of my template that I follow by. Now, don't be taking like screenshots of that or anything. I mean, I don't foresee any of you doing this, but you might. And so those are my guidelines that I'm using to kind of help me, not really guidelines, but the things I'm using to help me remember what I'm putting where. So this part right here is not quite finished yet. I don't know if you can see the pins in it. I still need to, right here where it's still pinned, and then around here, I still need to sew that on there. But that's pretty well. And this one's all done. It's just waiting for block number 4, its partner, to come along, and so I can put a set of 4 blocks together. It's going to be 64 blocks, unless I choose to make it 80 blocks, but we'll see. This probably will not be done by the time they get married at the rate I'm going. But I'm hoping at least when I go to the wedding, I can show them progress and say, listen, here's your present. It's not done yet. Here's your quilt companion. And here's the link to all the YouTube videos so you can see all of the story so far. And so that is kind of where I'm at. And I have one more little, I wasn't going to put this in here, but I kind of was inspired the other day to ask for some help. And I don't want you to go out and buy fabric. That's not the whole idea. The idea is, I'm trying to find my little things now. Let's see. what I would like, sometimes sharing their story on YouTube. If you should happen to have blue or green fabric laying around your house, or you just happen to, have all I need is a 3x3 square-ish. That should fit in a card, so it should only cost a stamp to mail. I would like to include your fabrics in their quilt because you're part of my YouTube family. And what I would like to do, since I'm building this block companion thing, I would like to, whenever you send a fabric to me, put that in the quilt, but like say, I don't know. All right, I'm just going to use Missy and Patricia because they're the first two names that come to mind. No pressure, y'all. I'm not calling you out or anything. I'm just using you because your stuff is in my head. And Joy, you're in my head too. Because I talk to y'all on like almost a daily basis. So say Missy is out and about in the wild and she sees a fat quarter. Oh, by the way, a fat quarter is just like this little thing you see at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or your craft stores, whatever. So say Missy is out and about and she sees a fat quarter. Now, mind you, I don't want you to go out and buy things. If you have it in the house, that's fine. But she sees, oh, hey, there's some Star Wars fabric and it's blue. I need to get that. And then, or snip me a little piece of it and send it to me, whatever, however. Or say, Patricia's looking through some of her fabric that she has laying around and she finds a pretty green piece, little pretty green piece of fabric. And she's like, oh, I bet that would go beautiful in that quilt. And she'll, snip me off a 3x3 piece. So, when I get these pieces in the mail, I'll say, oh, well, Missy sent me this. And I will write the name on the back of the template, and I'll remember, and I'll, when I'm writing the companion, I will say, and, my friend Missy from Missy's Yarniverse and More sent me this piece of blue Star Wars fabric on such and such day, and, put it in there. Or, then Patricia, I'm on block 27. Patricia provided this green piece. Patricia from Indiana provided this piece for me. Or Joy from Find Your Joy. Pretty close to, wherever. And she, it just, not like give away your address or anything, but little, hints and at least your name, and if you have a YouTube channel so they can go and check you out, or some little tidbit on how I know you and how you're special to me in my life. Like, I have some subscribers that email me on a regular basis, and I'll say, hey, this is one of my subscribers that contacts me regularly. And so I just want to get y'all involved in the quilt, and I like I say, I don't want you to go out and spend a lot of money, but if you want to be in my son and Bailey's quilt, just a little snip of fabric will do. That's all. Just a little snip of fabric. And as I'm making these blocks, I will also give you a little shout out, and because your fabric is going to be a part of the quilt. It's going to be a part of the companion, and it should deserve its little place in the video. You think? I don't know. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I just thought it'd be something fun. Just to kind of, add to the story. Now, if you are watching this at a much later date, in a couple of years, you might want to email me first and see if I'm still making this crazy quilt. Because if I'm not still making it, you don't need to send me fabric. I mean, I always accept fabric, but gifts are always appreciated, but never expected. I always appreciate the things that are sent to me because, I read this the other day somewhere. What was it? To be, oh, hold on. It was perfect. I can't remember. Something, to be acknowledged is to be loved, or something along those lines. To be noticed is to be loved. No, acknowledged. I think it was acknowledged. To be acknowledged is to be loved. And I thought that was really cool. And so that's my love language right there, to be acknowledged, to be noticed, and somebody stop and say, "Hey, I see you." It doesn't take much. But anyway, I am rambling again. So please stay with me. I have no idea what frequency we're going to be doing these videos. I would like to say I'd be doing them regularly, but it's taken me 2 months to make the first one. So maybe it'll get easier after the first one. So until I see you again, thanks for watching.